Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. I'm going to show you guys what has come to be one of my favorite drills. I'm going to start out by showing you one of the most difficult variations of the drill. The point of the video is to show you some variations from difficult to easier so you can adapt this to your own game. Now this is not the most difficult variation, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult. So intermediate players, you will actually be able to pull this off. I know it might start looking more difficult than you can imagine, but if you put in some work, you can definitely learn to get through this drill. So the balls are 1 diamond apart, straight down the middle of the table, 1 through 7, but we're going to shoot them off in numerical order. So as you can see, I played the 1, rolled into 2, now I'm on the 3. A lot of my students who I would consider intermediate or higher intermediate players are able to pull this off, even people that thought they wouldn't be able to do it. But you're basically playing position on each of these balls, and just a couple tips that will help you get through this. If you are only playing 1 ball ahead, you're not going to get through this. You need to pay attention to not just how you're going to get on that 5, but getting on the 5 in a way that you can get on the 6 and then the 7. Even in its simplest form, this drill forces you to think 2 and 3 balls ahead, because just getting on the next ball is not going to allow you to get on the ball after that. So put them out in random order, put them out in numerical order as you will see later in the video, and work them off. If you are a beginner player or a low intermediate player, you can start out by just lining up the balls. It doesn't matter what order you put them in, and just try to get through making all 7 balls in any pocket. Once you've done that, then you can start trying to shoot them off in rotation, or as some of you would call numerical order. Now, on this setup, what I've done is once again put them out in random order, but this time I'm going to stay on the same side of the table for every shot. This obviously increases the difficulty of the drill. Keep in mind that these are drills, they're not tests. If you can't do this, it's okay. The whole idea here is for you to work on your position play. Now, because I'm going to stay on the same side of the table, of course, the difficulty is magnified, but it is something that a lot of you high intermediate players can actually strive for. I think you can get through this. It just may take you some time before you can do it and make it look easy. I worked on this drill probably for about an hour the day that I made this video. It's not something that I was doing on a regular basis, but it is a variation of the 15 ball line drill, which I do on a regular basis, and I think is probably the greatest pool drill ever, especially for people that need to work on their short game. But work this in different ways, make it more difficult. I think that the variation that I'm doing right now, if you do this with 7 balls, where you're shooting them in rotation, the balls are in random order, and you're staying on the same side of the table, this is probably the most difficult variation of the drill. Next, I'm going to set them back up, and you can see I now have them in numerical order as we go down the table. If you decide to do the drill the way I'm going to do it here, it doesn't matter that you put them in numerical order. I'm doing it for illustration purposes. You can put any number of balls out there. You're just going to shoot them in sequence as you move your way down the table. Also notice that I am staying on the same side of the table for each of these shots as well. You can allow yourself to move to the other side of the table if you get out of line, or you don't have the capability to stay on the same side of the table and run every ball off. That's okay. But this is another variation of the drill. Many of you are going to benefit from the simple act of lining the balls up in a straight line, shooting them in any pocket that you can get shape on, and working your way in any order that you can get through the drill. That's okay. You will build your way up to shooting in rotation or shooting them in sequence as you go down the table, and then you can change things up to make them simpler or more difficult. So to really change things up, what I did was I put them back in numerical order. And this time, instead of staying on the same side of the table like we did in an earlier variation, I am forcing myself to go from one side of the table to the other. So I play the 1 from the right-hand side, then I have to play the 2 from the left-hand side, and on down the line. This variation is actually in many ways more difficult than playing just one side, because it takes a little bit more focus, especially if you have a game like mine where you depend on a lot of short little draw shots for your position. Now I'm almost forced to shoot a follow shot on each of these balls to get position on the next shot. Most advanced players are going to use more draw shots, but more intermediate players are going to benefit from follow shots. So now I have myself in a predicament where I can make the 6, but to get to the other side of the table, I have to go all the way around the table to allow myself to shoot the 7 from the opposite side. I just simply did not have an angle that would put me on the 7. So switching from one side to the other, number one, it can elevate the difficulty, but it will also help you create better focus, because keeping in mind that you need to move from one side to the other actually adds a new element to the entire process, just moving from one side to the other. Now, if you are super advanced, if the ability to shoot these in sequence is easy for you, if the ability for you to shoot these in rotation is easy for you, another thing that you can do, and it may not seem difficult, but trust me, it does add a level of difficulty. Another thing you can do here is shoot them in reverse sequence. Those of you that like to play 9-ball, try shooting the balls in the opposite order that you normally play. In other words, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This forces you to elevate your level of concentration, and it will not just help you with your pool game, but it'll help you with your focus in everyday life. Mess around with this drill, guys. Let me know what you think. Hit me in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out our new channel, FX Poker Pro. As of this viewing, probably just 100 or so subscribers, but we're going to break 1,000 in a very short period of time. So whether you play poker or not, give us a holler.